Bahrain Grand Prix Race 1 of Season 9 here in the European Racing Organisation. My name is David Booker. I'll be your host and commentator throughout the season. We're just waiting to get the last person into the lobby, and then we'll get across to that lobby and bring you qualifying live. So you just bear with me for a couple of minutes. live now, and everything should be ready to go in the next couple of moments. I do apologize for the wait here, but we should be able to get this all set up and ready to go for you in just a second, as we will get everything going from here. So waiting for everyone to ready up. Turn the music down a bit. I hope that was the background music. If the in-game music's too loud, do let me know. Everything's sounding nice and level in my ears, so everything should be fine. So we have 13 races today. In the initial all crossplay event here, we have races from Xbox, EA Origin, as well as Steam. So hopefully things go smoothly. We were just making sure that everyone could get added throughout. So I do apologize for the delay at the start of this. Oh, I do apologize. I will change that up for next time. I was just letting you know that it would be a little bit later starting. So here we go now for the first qualifying session here in the Xbox Origin, the full cross-play tier of the European Racing Organisation. Let's see who can get out first. A lot of these people are new to racing in the ERO. A couple of people that were here last year and racing, Camelons was one of them, racing in part of PCF4. The rest, I believe, are quite new to the organisation itself, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top during this Grand Prix. As we have MVTTO F1, that will be Matej in the Alfa Romeo leading out first. We already have a Haas off going out wide. That would be Crush 50, Alex Barron of the United States, but we'll stick with Matej during this first lap. This is just making sure that everything is fine, his tyres are working and all up to temperature before he sets out for the first hot lap of the season. So we'll just make sure that we've got all of the details on here. And there we go. Sorry about this, just quickly trying to make sure I've got everyone's messages coming through and everyone's names up as well. So here we go, rounding the final corner. We have Matej starting in the Alfa Romeo for the first hot lap of the season, and we'll see how he gets on. Looking at some of the messages that have been going on in chat, we're looking at kind of 128, 129 throughout, so we'll see how we fare in this first qualifying session. As he rounds the first few corners of Sector 1, heads down the long DRS straight. Coming up to Turn 4. Takes that quite nicely. Let's see how we get through this tricky technical section here in Bahrain. Also not too badly there. Sometimes can be a bit slippy around that right-handed hairpin before this downhill braking zone into the left-hand turn and the DRS zone number 2. A little bit wide on the exit there, but it shouldn't hurt him too much in this lap. Drops nicely in across the curb there at the end of the DRS straight. Coming up towards the end of Sector 2 now. Obviously going purple. 106.6 to start off, so we can certainly keep an eye on that as we go through. Just to compare to Crush 50 of 109.4, so definitely a competitive time here by Matej. So we'll see where we go as he rounds the final corner. Gets that foot down before continuing on, opening that DRS flap and crossing the line in a 128.5. Sets a really good initial time for people there. We follow up with Crush 50, Alex Barron crossing the line in 132.1. So definitely an advantage there for Matej. Coming across the line as we go through will be Win and Tex, as I pick up his name. That will be Antoni, the Polish driver for Ferrari, a Polish pairing for Ferrari today. And E-Gamer will come across to sit in fourth. That will be Ethan Sargent in the Alpine. As we go across here to Kentucky, coming down this back straight here. We'll turn that last corner, coming straight down this final home straight here. Looking a little bit slower than the rest here, but 131 puts him in sixth for now. Sixth of the 7 drivers that have definitely set times here. Let us go through and have a quick look to see who is on a lap. Vencial, so Jakub Samelski will be setting off now. Polish driver for Alfa Romeo. We'll follow him round on his lap here, as the rest just seem to be either just starting their laps or coming back into the pits. And he does take a spin there. It's always a tricky one there. Can get quite slippy in this desert conditions, and he's definitely become a cropper at the beginning of the lap. Hopefully he's not ruined those tyres and he gets to go round again, as we do have someone a little bit further up that seems to be having an issue just as much here. The Alpine driver of NJ Phoenix. That's Pazel Adimbe, the Alpine driver. Taking a strange bit of a line there coming up there. We'll stay on track with him. See if we've got anyone coming round for a full lap here. So it looks like Zedzik here, which is Matthews from Poland, also Williams driver this season in this tier. He has unfortunately invalidated his lap there after a good start. So a little bit of a lull now while we figure out what the others will be looking to accomplish. We have another, is this another flying lap? I do believe so. Let's quickly have a check at his battery. That may have just been one completed there, but didn't improve on his time, did Kent P. So we continue on further. Coming up to, well, just past 11.5 minutes left in this first qualifying session. Let's see where we can get up to. Sven Charlo looks to start his next attempt at a flying lap after the spin at the first corner, or the second corner last time. Let's see if he can keep it together. Rides the curb nicely, gets the power down, opens the DRS flap. This is a much better exit there that time. Let's see where his sector times do lie here. Remember, Sector 2 last time was a 106 for the current leader, so we can certainly keep that in mind. This takes a tricky section there, quite smooth. Let's see if he hits the apex here on this tricky right-hander and gets the exit right. Nicely done out in fourth gear there, and comes down to this downhill section. Downhill braking for this left, which can sometimes catch out. Slightly misses the apex there, but does get the power down cleanly. A little bit of twitching at the end there. And he's got his DRS flap nice and wide open there. Coming up to the end of Sector 2 now, as we have yellow flags on the home straight that have gone by quite quickly. Checking on that sector time 6, 7, 107.1. Shouldn't be too bad. Should be good for top 5 potentially if you can keep this going. So come down this back straight before the final right-hander. Nicely taken there. Just a nice clip of the curb as the exit. Some full power down. DRS flap open as he crosses the line in a 1:28.9. That will take him into third place. This is a strong showing from both Ferrari-powered cars here. Both the Alfa Romeo and the Ferraris locking out the front two rows, albeit alternating with each other there. As we have a couple of yellow flags ongoing here. Let's see if we can catch up with what is going on. Possibly just some cars trying to create some space here. Trying to make sure they're not getting in each other's way, as this could prove quite a car park. Similar to what we get at the end of Bahrain qualifying in real life. So yellow flags all over the place, but I don't think there's been any particular incidents just yet. As we have MVTTO in first place, Eric in second, Bencialo in third, Winantec in fourth, Vardel in sixth, as we do have Logitech breaking up that Ferrari party at the front, going in a 1:29.1, setting his first lap, and a great fly in that is for the Red Bull. Looking a little bit further down the field, we should see now whether these two drivers, both Zedzix and Camelons, can set a good lap here, as weaving to warm the tyres here, looking potentially to start their hot lap at this point, is Zedzix. Crossing the line. Let's see what time he can set here. Pretty sure he should have battery for it. He has plenty of it, so this will be his first attempt at a complete flying lap. Takes it nicely across the first couple of corners. Let's go on board with him and see where we do end up here, while still keeping an eye on the times. Takes the end of that long straight very well into a tricky technical section towards the end, towards the beginning of Sector 2 here. This right-hander can certainly be quite slippery if we don't give it the respect it deserves, but looks nice and comfortable on the power there coming out. Head into this downhill braking section. Vardel goes fastest here, a 1:28.54. Just 2 100 separating the top two at the moment, and that Mercedes taking up top spot. Again, spoiling this Ferrari party that looked like it was going on at the front. But back online with Zedzix here, taking this left-hand turn, as someone had crashed in front of him there. Looked like one of the Alfa Romeos, but we stick with the Williams driver here. Taking this right turn before the long back straight and the final corner looking to finish. That's taking good pace here, as we see Vencialo and Winantec taking over Logitech there, so getting that nice look out between second and fifth with those Ferrari engines. But we do have the Williams coming around the corner, opening the DRS. Let's see the time, 26:27. 28.0, a good half a second in front from the Williams driver. Zedzix leaving the best until last, it certainly seems. Now the only driver that's left in order to set a time will be Camelons in the Alfa Romeo. So let's quickly go to him, who I believe is on a hot lap as well. As we see, 107 for Sector 2 might not quite be there, but 29.3. Good enough for 8th place on the grid. Now coming up to 6.5 minutes left here, we should be heading into our last lap. So we have Zedzix in the Williams in P1 at the moment, Vardel in the Mercedes in P2, MVTTO in P3, Eric in P4 in the Ferrari, then Vencialo in the Alfa P5, Winantec in P6 in the Ferrari. We then have Logitech in P7, Camelons 8, eGamer 9, Fitter Crimea P10, then NJ Phoenix 11, Kenta in P12, and Crush 50 in last in the Sol Haas in P13. But still all to play for, as we see just how tight, within a second for those top 6 or 7 drivers. I'm sure all will be looking to head into the pits in order to improve. Now I do see the first of those looking to head out now will be the Alfa Romeo of MVTTO. That's Matej in the Alfa. Let's see what time they can set across this final flying lap as we head close to 5 minutes remaining. This should certainly be the first of those last flying laps. Fingers crossed it is a clean one. Also, while we're waiting for these last flying laps to start, do let me know in the chat, who are you looking forward to see racing this tier? Is there a particular driver who you are following? Or just say hello in that chat. Any particular comment certainly helps us out a little bit. Of snipers here following Crush. Hopefully this last lap for Crush is a good one. What we'll do, once we've seen this lap complete, I will go in for a full lap of MTTO as he does cross the line to start his final flying lap. Comes into the first corner, nice and tight on that first hairpin. Takes a nice left there, nice and clean coming out before this first DRS straight of the lap. Let's see where we can take. Sometimes can be difficult on that apex, but does take it nicely. Gets the power down nice and early. And then this tricky right, left, right. Well, this left, right, left, I do apologise. Before this final hairpin that can be quite slippy on the exit. Rides the curb a little, which is kind of brave, but does work out for him. Let's keep an eye on his Sector 2 time. I believe that's always a better one to gauge an indication. It's right after this technical section. Opens his DRS. Flies down this straight, middle straight, heads over to this right hand side before gearing down to fourth, making that left hand turn in nicely onto the power. Cuts in nicely on that long right hander. He's slightly down though, 5 to 6 100ths down on his time, but that all can be made up at this last corner. Let's see where we do end up after this last corner. Takes it nicely there. Could possibly have been tired, but does ride wide as you should do there a little bit. Opens his DRS, comes across the line in 1:28.505. Does improve his time, but not enough to... In fact, it's enough to go up into second and move himself up there. So that's certainly good for him. Interesting cut across there for it. But let's quickly head over to Crush 50 in the Haas. Looks like he's slightly up on his time here, which certainly is good for him. Crosses this last corner. Looks like he might be slightly down that time and maybe a little bit out there, but comes across 1:30.9 is certainly an improvement on his time. Still doesn't improve his place, but brings the field a lot closer together, which is definitely all he can particularly ask for here. As we see now, the Alpines are looking to cross, I believe. Yep, NJ Phoenix looking to start his flying lap. But eGamer here, again, looking to start a flying lap. Let's try and catch one towards the end. Vencialo, again, starting his flying lap. Quite a slow out lap there for him, almost 5 minutes. We have one of the Ferraris slowing down quite a little bit here, looking to make sure his tyres are warm. As is one of the Mercedes. We're certainly getting a bit of a queue here just to try and get the cars all ready. Let's try and stick to see if we can get someone on a flying lap. So we have eGamer here and NJ Phoenix as well, I believe, on a flying lap. Certainly looks to be so. We will stay on board with him, as looks like he runs a little bit wide there, but does get on the straight and opens up his DRS. Strangely sticking to the left, possibly trying to get a tow from the car in front, but that's quite a long tow if he's after it. There are flags in Sector 3, but I do believe that's just people waiting, trying to get a gap. We see 108 in Sector 2, beating his time. But let's see if that's enough to move him up. As we see a retirement here, Crush 50. Retiring in the pits from the look of things. We'll certainly see what's happening there. As we have crossing the line, NJ Phoenix 1:30.3 improves his time by 3/10, moves up into P11. As we have eGamer, his Alpine teammate there, moving up into 4th place. Next we have one of the Alfa Romeos coming around the final corner. Definitely looks a little bit slower, won't be improving on his time here. as we're coming across to the final laps here. Eric in the Ferrari taking this last corner here. Will this be an improvement? It doesn't quite look like it. Does improve 128.5 actually, moves him up to P3. Varduk comes in behind, not quite improving there. Do we have anybody else on a lap? Doesn't appear so, but we'll certainly try and keep an eye on things here. That 110 is certainly a little bit slower there for it. Camille may be the last one on a hot lap here, as he's coming down to this final corner. Takes it nicely on that left. Possibly have opened up a little bit sooner, but we have 28, 29. Goes 8th with that time. Ahead of Wojtek in the Red Bull. And it doesn't appear like anyone else is on a flying lap, so that appears to be your first grid for the Xbox Origin Season 9 Championship here in ERO. So we have Z6 in P1, MVTTO in P2, Eric in P3, Vardal 4, eGamer 5, and Charlo 6, Winantech 7, Camelons 8, Wojtek 9, Kenta in 10, Phoenix in 11, Chimera in 12, and Crush in 13. So good spread out amongst the constructors here as well. As we're coming to the last minute, just waiting for everybody to head into the pits. So there we have it then. As I mentioned, Z6 in P1 in the Williams, MVTTO in the Alpha in 2nd, and Eric in 3rd in the Ferrari. It's quite a lead as well by the Williams driver, almost half a second in front of the closest lap. But certainly with those, between 2nd and 9th here, it certainly is quite close. Everyone within a second. I'm sure that the race will be exciting between them all. Okay, so we will be straight on the grid here. There's no formation lap within this championship, just trying to avoid some of those syncing issues and bugs that can happen. But as we wait for everyone to load in and join onto the grid, we'll be sure to take the action in this Ero Xbox Origin race. Drivers making any final adjustments to their strategies and setups. We'll be live on the grid shortly. As here we have lights 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the race is underway. Let's see into this first corner how we have. Seems to be quite a even start, but certainly starting to pile up in behind. Hopefully everyone gets through here. Z6 does lead into this first corner. We have had a slight switch there from eGamer, but he's still going within the race. But he has dropped to the back. Let's see if there's been any contact there between Kentapi and Phoenix. Any damage on any of those wings may appear to be at a later point. But Zedjix leads the race. Already pulled out half a second interval from Eric now in second. MVTTO in third. Winantec 5, Winantec 4 and Wodgetech in 5. As coming through this second set, so down to this long back straight. No DRS, of course, until lap 3 of this 29 lap race. As we come up to this left-hander at the bottom of it. Zedjix certainly leading the race. Eric in second, MVTTO third, Winantec 4, Wodgetech in 5. Keeping an eye on any movement. We do have Fitter Crimea potentially having a spin here. And Kentucky moving up. Does look like he's ghosted there. So may have disconnected. Let's head back to the front of this particular race. As I see, the first lap completed by Zedjix in the Williams. Around half a second in front. So it's definitely been brought back here by Eric. And the Alfa and Winantec, Alfa and Ferrari as well, going over to the right-hand side of the track, close to the pit lane. Looking to break some toe there, but it does look like the Ferrari driver has made it into P3. Let's see if he can close up to the back of his teammate here. Oh, it does appear like he's used a lot of battery there as well, with the lights flashing in behind. Definitely a difference in tyre strategy going on. If we do have a quick look at the tyres that they have. A mix of mediums and hards with one soft runner in Kenta there in P11, looking to be really aggressive. So we do have NJ Phoenix potentially getting some damage on his spin in the first corner, taking a quick early pit stop. As we do keep an eye on the times just to see who is the closest. Down in the battle for P6 at the minute, we have Vardal in the Mercedes and the E-Gamer in the Alpine getting nice and close here. Let's see if a move's going to happen as the gap is down under 3/10 now. Coming down this back straight into the final corner. Let's see if he can make a move. Looks like it's the better exit. It's been happened by the Alpine driver there. It doesn't appear like anything's going to happen here, but we'll stick with it down this back straight. Zedjix sets the fastest lap of 32.4. Certainly be worth keeping an eye on that lap to see if anyone can go faster. As we see E-Gamer now making a move on the Red Bull. This is a three-way battle for 5th that certainly could get a little bit spicy as the race goes on. And also up at the front, the gap still staying around 0.4 of a second. We'll switch over to that as we go for this race lead. Potentially may get him under DRS here. Going into this long DRS straight. Although a much better exit there from Zedjix from that slow hairpin certainly will help him out. But the Ferrari driver of Eric will have DRS going down this straight. Let's see if he can use that to reel him in. Still staying at 6/10. Not quite close enough here, but potentially on the main straight coming up. We'll stay with this. Again, that three-way battle for 5th is still ongoing between Wodgetech, E-Gamer and Vardal. But good exit there from Zedjix at the start of Sector 3. Coming around this final corner, I believe Eric will be slightly too far away in order to make a move here. So let's head back to this battle for 5th as they head around this final corner. Coming up to the DRS section, let's see if either E-Gamer or Vardal. There's been a flag in Sector 3 as Vencialo here in P10 looks to have had a spin. Drops him down to P11 there. That is unfortunate. Can't see any damage on there, but does look to have spun in that last corner. As we see, Wodgetech, E-Gamer and Vardal still in the same order there, so no particular change in position, although Eric in P2 is certainly getting a hell of a lot closer here to Zedjix, so we'll stay on board with this driver. A lot closer, you know, 2/10 closer than he was last lap, and does go purple in Sector 1, so certainly using this DRS to his advantage, and these two starting to pull a gap to the field behind, almost 3 seconds to the Ferrari driver behind, who's under a lot of pressure by Matej in the Alfa Romeo. As you can see, that time ticking down, ticking down, ticking down. 0.4 of a second before the braking zone. Certainly looking to be closing in. If it can stay on the back of him, even though it's in that dirty air, again, just seems to be losing time in that section before these long straights. Certainly hinder him a little bit for the overtake on the main straight, that's for sure. Elsewhere in the field, it is starting to separate a little bit into mini battles. So we have Winantec in the Ferrari and Matej in a battle for third here. Then we have this three-way battle for fifth between Wojtek, eGamer and Vardal. And Eric sets the fastest lap in the Ferrari, certainly putting the pressure now on the quicker tyres. Going to quickly head back there as we're almost within 3 seconds. MVTTO, the Alpha, Matej, does get the overtake done on Winantec as well. And you can see there that he has made that stick through the first couple of corners. Let's see if we can have a fight back here from the Ferrari. As we see that DRS open. Almost close enough. He's going to make the move. Makes the dive inside around turn 4. But sticks on very nicely by the Alpha, making sure that that move does not stick. As we have the first penalty of the race coming from Kentapi in P9 there for multiple warnings. But this battle's certainly starting to heat up here. Wondering now to see whether this Ferrari can make a fight back here, as this is certainly one of the closest battles that we have. Slightly further back, it is starting to separate in that battle for fifth, but Vardal certainly hanging on to Wojtek in the Red Bull. But we'll stick with this battle for now. As we come up to the left-hander at the end of the DRS section, not quite close enough to make a particular move there, but still within 0.4. Still seems like Eric is struggling to hang on through this section in order to make a move on the final straight, and that gap for first and second does go up to 0.5, but Winantec, his teammate, certainly keeping that closer. Within half a second coming down this last straight, if you can get the drag down there. 0.4 going into the last corner. And then this DRS section could certainly help him out. Let's keep an eye on this battle for third place. As we see DRS open, watch that time tick down. 0.4, 3.5. Taking him one way or the other. Is he going to make a move on the inside? Makes a late move to the inside here. Let's hope he's not outbroke himself. That's a great move. Does make it stick on that outside there for him. Has used a lot of battery by the looks of it. But should get... Has he got DRS? The Ferrari does have DRS coming back up to stop for any counter-attack. Sticks it on the inside. But still around the outside goes the Alpha of Matej. And as they go side by side here at the beginning of Sector 2. Let's see if anyone goes out. There's been contact between the two. Matej and Winantec made contact in third place. Spoiling both races. Dropping them down now to 6th and 7th. Let's hope there's been no particular damage there, but I'm sure there'll maybe some reports as it's going through. As contact, when it's going through that section, is always going to bring in contact. You've got to know when to yield sometimes and making sure when to leave the space, and it certainly looks like they both ran out of it there. We've had a couple of pits further down the field, with eGamer in the Alpine making a pit, as well as Kentapi in P12. We'll certainly see with on the mediums. I don't think they're going to be able to last until the end of the race, but we'll certainly keep an eye on it as we go down. Looking at other close racing happening at the minute. What is now a battle for third instead of fifth. We have Vardal all over the back of Wojtek in the Red Bull here. Coming around the final corner. Should be able to use his DRS in order to stick this overtake. Doesn't quite get as good an exit as needed, as Wojtek does pull a little bit of a gap. But we'll see that time tick down as that rear wing does come open. Is he going to make a move to the inside? He does do on the slightly softer medium tyres. Maybe a tiny bit of contact there, but settles in. Looks to make an attack as we're going up to turn 4. Opens up the DRS one more time. As we see now within 0.2. No move made this point. As we head into now to this highly technical point. Now this fighting has allowed Camelons to draw up in behind in the Alpha. In the Aston Martin. So I'm sure he'll be keeping one eye in front to see if he can make this podium place. But we see this battle between Vardal and Wojtek, between the Mercedes and the Red Bull, one we've seen many a times on track. Let's see if anything can stick here, as all three of them now tightening up, all within a second of each other. Let's see if any particular moves can be made on this straight. Can be difficult in a braking zone, but is he close enough? Possibly not quite. within 2/10. If you can stick to the back of him through here, as I mentioned before, it makes it a lot easier coming down the home straight if you can stay within 2-3/10 here, which Vardal is doing very nicely. Now all he has to do differently to what he'd done before is get the exit right coming out of this last corner. And he'll be sure to make his stake. In fact, he's looking to make the move early. Does make it smartly as well. He should have DRS coming down this line. Doesn't outbrake himself. Very close racing wheel to wheel there. Potentially a tiny bit of contact, but doesn't look like there's any particular damage, as it looks like he's made that particular move stick. As we see, indeed, yes, the Mercedes does have DRS, and Camelon's now all over the back of Wojtek, but again, this attack could come back at him, as now the two drivers in behind do have DRS. Let's see if they can close up that particular gap. As you see, Wojtek down within 2/10, looks to go around the outside, defended the outside by Vardal there, done very nicely as well. Slightly wide, maybe in Camelon's back into things, but certainly good racing from these three. Slightly wide there from Camelon's, and again, the two behind the Mercedes certainly look to have used a lot more battery than the Mercedes. Flashing as we see Vencialo coming into the pits there, swapping on to the hard tyres for the remaining 21 laps. Is that a little bit early? Would we be looking normally at lap 11, lap 12 potentially? But let's stick with these two. It's the closest battle in the race at the moment, other than Kentopy has just taken over Vencialo here for P11. And he has made that stick at the top of the DRS straight. Slightly colder tyres, of course, there for Vencialo. But let's head back to this battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. Svardok on these medium tyres, looking to create a gap from the two hard runners before those tyres really ticking in his own start to fall off a little bit. But has provided a gap, but not quite enough to break that DRS. Yes, still within 4/10 of each other. Looking like they're just trying to stick to, potentially looking to recharge. As we have a look on board with the two of them. Yeah, 5% battery there for Wojtek. 10% battery there for Camelon's in the Aston Martin. But Vardal running a nice race, conserving his battery. 46% means he can fend off a lot of these attacks if needed. Even though the two cars behind have the... As we've got a wide run there from Wojtek. I don't know what he was thinking coming out of that corner. And Camelon's appears to have lost a little bit of time there. But certainly a wide run. Bit of a mistake there from Wojtek. As we continue on watching this battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. As Vencialo takes back that place from Kentopy down in P10 and 11. Keeping an eye, we've not had any further stops since Vencialo on lap 8. But we will keep an eye on that as we go through this battle then for P3. Given that Jedges is keeping a 2-second gap to Eric, and they've got a 10-second gap to these three that are going to be, from what I can see, battling for some time until the pit stops are happening. But again, Vardal potentially with that extra battery, able to hold off the two cars with DRS behind. Let's take this left right-handed turn 4 before this technical start to sector 2. And of course we saw that incident between Winantec and Matej in the Ferrari and the Alpha. Who started to gap each other a little bit there. Worth keeping an eye on that gap from Wintec back to Camelon's. Now down to 6.5 seconds. Potentially, oh, we had a little bit of an accident there from Camelon's. Certainly looked to potentially be in the wrong gear. It didn't look like he span, but certainly lost time on Wojtek there. There was a strange noise coming out of the back of that Aston, potentially selecting the wrong gear as he went round that corner and drops off 2 seconds. So this battle for 3rd is now looking like more and more like a 2-horse race, unless they battle so much that everyone behind can catch up.
And that gap now for Camelons to the Ferrari is down to 5 seconds. So certainly needs to be keeping an eye on that fast Ferrari from Winantec. As we see this battle continue for third place. If we do go on board, we can certainly have a look at the situation. It hasn't really improved for Logitech here in the battery department, and you can see again still staying the same for Vardal, looking in a comfortable area here as both drivers seem to be settling into the race. Camelon's starting to drop back a little bit further. I'm wondering whether that is an issue that he's got ongoing there. We'll certainly have to keep an eye on that. As Winantec certainly now trying to close that gap, still around 5 seconds, now 4.8. 2 Camelons and Matt Edge in the Alfa Romeo. He's starting to close up on Winantec, so I'm sure we could get some more racing between those two once again. Further back from the people that have stopped, we've got E-Gamer in 9th, around 15 seconds back. Ventialo, after overtaking Kenta, is definitely starting to put the laps in there. Kenta has a 3-second penalty at the moment. Certainly needs to get the hammer down to make sure that Fitter doesn't get him too much. It certainly looks like he may have disconnected, as has NJ Phoenix there. But I'm sure that will certainly look into it with them both ghosting. But we'll certainly look into it. Possibly disconnected, but should be okay. As we see our leader here then, Jedjix, holding a nice 3-second lead. Starting to overtake the first of the laps cars in Phoenix there. I'm seeing that NJ Phoenix may have disconnected. Let me just try and send a quick invite over. And what will that be under? It doesn't show on there. If you see your EA name on there, NJ Phoenix, please do send me a message and I'll get you invited back into the race as soon as possible. So I do apologise, I'm just trying to keep track of them at the same time. As we see, as we'll keep on board with the race leader while I try and fix where everybody is at the moment. So we still have Zedjix leading with Vardal now in second. Looks like we've had a pit stop there from Eric onto the hards. And Winantec in the Ferrari. Is that double stacked, those Ferraris there? They should be separated enough. No, they definitely are. Pits also for... slightly behind for Crush 50 in the Haas. As he comes out in 9th. And we'll see if Eric can get the undercut here on Zedjix. As I will look to quickly invite the 2 disconnects here. Just bear with me. One invite there. And the second one not showing up. Don't see that second one on there. We have a couple of drivers that did drop out there. The pit's starting to happen. Vardal pitting from 4th here. So these medium tyre runners all starting to pit. Let's see if he has not got ahead of Eric there, but let's see if Eric can put in the laps as we look around. Everyone quite spread out on this track here at the moment. So we can certainly look to bring in some of the drivers that may have disconnected at the back. Just trying to get a okay on their names here. It's not showing up where it should do. So I do apologise for this. So keeping an eye on the races. Fitter comes in to the pits as well on those harder tyres after getting back into the race here. But as we have Wojtek pitting here, let's see. As Camelons comes into the pits as well, looking to run the mediums for a further 14 laps here. This battle's certainly looking quite close between him and Wojtek. But Eric has certainly got ahead here. But let's see where Vardal comes out. As it doesn't quite appear that he's been able to stick that gap ahead of Wojtek, who's made those hards run a little bit extra while they were still coming up to temperature for Vardal for sure. Okay, let's look to get them invited here now. I do apologise for this. We've had a disconnect go through. So I'm just trying to get one of the drivers back into the race. Again, the name that they're giving me isn't showing up on the list here. It looks like we've had a DNF here. E-Gamer going out, spinning out in the middle of Sector 2 there. Unfortunately, the Alpine looking like he may have just snapped the curb there at the end of the technical section of Sector 2 and he's out of the race. Further up, we've got Vardal doing 360s there in the track after what was a really good start. Doesn't appear to be getting those hard tyres working for him. So the beginning of this second stint, it certainly looks to be heating up, at least in the accident department. And certainly here, as these colder tyres seem to be catching people out. As you look a little bit further back, it does appear like the closest battle that we have at the moment is still between Winantec and Vardal. We've got a flag in Sector 2 and 3. That's Kenta. Certainly looking to put a little bit more wear on those medium tyres with a spin there coming towards the end of Sector 2. Concentration levels seem to be lowering for these drivers. But let's see if we can get anywhere else for them. As we have coming into the pits, Kentapi, yes, certainly looking to replace, or Kento, certainly looking to replace those medium tyres after the spin. What's another set of mediums on there? Potentially looking to go to the end of the race. I do believe, let me just see, I do believe he started on softer tyres. Let's just try and have a look here. As we see, yeah, started on the soft, so has used the compounds that's needed. See if we can bring these mediums home for the rest of the race. He just continues with the flag there, and a penalty for Vencialo as well. As into the pits comes Matej in from second place. Let's see if we can stay out, still get involved with that Wattage and Camelon's battle potentially. Fresh mediums goes on, comes out. Let's have a look on the track in behind us. Wojtek is able to get past. Camelot is able to get past. Let's look in behind. Doesn't look like Winantec is going to be able to close that gap down fully, but Vardal certainly has done. And the one driver left to pit now will be the race leader, Ero X. So once again, I'm looking to try and get this last one in, but I don't appear to have that on there. I will speak to them afterwards about it. Just make sure that everything is set up right. Back to the race. The closest battle on track is between Vardal and Winantec. It's now 4P6. The race leader, Ero X, has the 31-second lead. He is yet to pit, but that's certainly more than enough space there in order to make that pit stop on these hard tyres. 17 laps old now. Starting lap 18. Going back to this battle, 4P6 between Winantec in the Ferrari and Vardal in the Mercedes. Let's see if we can keep this nice and close through that technical section. 410 to 4.6 looks like a better exit there from the Ferrari driver. But still closing up, weaving all over the place, trying to get some heat in these tyres is the Mercedes. But still closing that gap ever so slightly. Looks to get a better exit in the Ferrari, unfortunately, but the DRS should bring this gap closer. Half a second as he crosses. Another 3-second penalty for Kenta. Looking to spoil his race there from P10, but does have a 33-second gap in behind. Not quite able there, the Mercedes, to get the overtake, but if you can get a good exit here, you never know what can happen up into P4. Let's go on board with the Mercedes driver. Makes the move down the inside. Done in plenty of time for this right-hander. Let's see if he can make that stick. Trying to come back underneath is the Ferrari now, as he tucks in behind for this technical section. Mistake going in into that left-hander, and it looks like Wojtek has also had a spin around the hairpin, promoting Camelons onto the podium places and possibly bringing Matej back into the equation as well. Almost within a second and within that DRS, not quite at this point, but potentially on the home straight as well. As we see the Ferrari of Winantec not able to make things stick, or not able to make an overtake stick there. I do apologise. As I look to put my teeth back in and talk correctly. But certainly look to try and stick to the back of this Mercedes driver, as this battle seems to be going backwards and forwards for sure. As we try and keep an eye on any further mistakes on the field. This battle for 5th and the battle for 4th between Wojtek and Matej is certainly looking close. Doesn't quite have the RS, but does set a fastest lap there in the Alfa Romeo. So certainly flying on these medium tyres. As still yet to pit is the race leader, Ero X, and still he's extending his lead over Eric behind, now 32 seconds. Gone up another second within that, well, close to a second within that lap. But as we go back, is the Ferrari getting closer, goes to the inside, decides against it very late there. Now can he stick to the back of him again through this technical section at the start of Sector 2, as Winantec gets a 3-second penalty for track limit warnings, and that will spoil this particular battle from here unless he can get past Vardas in the next few laps and start to open up a gap. So we'll head to this battle then for 4th between Matej and Wojtek. Down to 6.5 seconds here. All Matej needs to do is stay close within the technical section, get in behind going down the back straight, and then look to make the pass with DRS. Let's see if he's able to do it within the dirty air, but the better exit comes from the Red Bull. But tucking in behind, you can see that time ticking down, 6.6, 6.4, 6.3, almost 6 seconds here going into the final corner. Let's see, better exit there from the Alfa Romeo, the current fastest lap holder of the race. But again, slightly further back than he needs to be in order to make a pass. Let's see if we can stick with him through these first couple of corners. and then look to make it happen here as they're very close going around that hairpin. Looking for a good exit from the Alfa Romeo driver. But again, 6/10 isn't going to be close enough to make the pass here as they continue to go round. In behind them, Vardal and Winantec still very close together. But again, that 3-second penalty for the Ferrari is a little bit of a mistake there from the Mercedes. Certainly maybe feeling the pressure coming from behind him. Both drivers on similar aged hard tyres. So I'm sure they're going to be slippy at points around this track. As we see here, still very close again. Matej in this Alfa Romeo getting so close, looking to go around the outside. Looks to possibly have the battery advantage on the Red Bull as well. As he made his move too early there. Can be difficult at that left-hander. But looks to be a lot closer than he has been in previous laps. Let's head on board with the Alfa Romeo here. Closing in Wojtek. He's got potentially a battery advantage 16-8. So certainly does do here. And has slightly newer medium tyres as well. As we get a much better exit there from the Alfa Romeo. Within 2/10 now. Can he ride up behind and get this pass into turn 1? Getting closer. Moves to the outside. And certainly does too. Is the Red Bull able to make it stick potentially up into turn 4? Well, looks to dive it down the inside. But luckily doesn't outbrake himself and cause an incident there. As he looks to get a better drive out of these first couple of corners. Down to turn 4 they go. Still 2/10 between them. Goes to the outside, does the Red Bull, sticks on the outside. The Alfa driver of Matej there, doing very well in shutting the door on the driver in behind. As we see behind them, the battle for 6th place, the next closest battle on the track, still within 3/10 between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Up front, looking at the rest of the race, still yet to pit your race leader, Zedzik, in the Williams. And still slowly every lap slowly extending his lead on the Ferrari behind, as we have a penalty now for Wojtek in the Red Bull, again in a similar position to Winantec in the Ferrari behind him, and an overtake there from the Alfa Romeo as well. So certainly will potentially be looking behind him a little bit here, but also looking very wide there coming out of the corner, going down to the last. But again, it needs to make these moves stick on Matej sooner rather than later, so that penalty can start to work it back as we come to the last 7 laps of this race. Still your race leader yet to pit, but these battles in midfield are certainly highlights of this race so far, as we see Winantec in the Ferrari with DRS taking over the Mercedes going into turn 1. Is he able to keep it sticky? He does go slightly wide in the Ferrari. Does it hamper his exit? Does it allow the Mercedes to get close again with the use of DRS? Doesn't appear so. Seem to have had a really good exit despite heading wide into turn 1, and does make it stick in turn 4 there. The Mercedes driver of Vardal will certainly be looking to ensure that he gets back ahead of Winantec. But again, with that 3-second penalty, is he starting to think to stick on the back, or is he going to beat him on the track? We'll certainly soon be able to see. As you see this battle slightly starting to widen out now, possibly the lower battery of the Red Bull is starting to hamper him and benefit the nicely 24% that he's got in the Alfa Romeo for Matej here. As we take a breath, start having a look down the rest of the field again. Still to pit your race leader's edges. Doing a very good job in this Williams, looking after those tyres. Surely he's going to have to pit soon. But again, he's got such a gap on the car behind on Eric that he's led this from start to finish. There was a little bit of contact previously, but again, going into turn 1, it's close as we have Vardal, the Mercedes driver, coming back at the Ferrari here. Makes that stick again, runs a little bit wide. Is the Ferrari able to get back at him? Certainly has a better drive than his Mercedes counterpart on the last lap. Does have DRS. does get the overtake done into the corner, but this Mercedes isn't going away from the Ferrari. Looks to cut back underneath, but not quite having the drive there in order to get the overtake back. I do think sticking with this is good, but again, looking up the field, we do see now within a second, Matej in that Alfa Romeo, still holding the fastest lap, closing in on Camelons for the final place. Let's have a look here to see how close we are starting to get, as he could be within DRS in these final laps. Let's have a quick look how we're doing, but further back, we'll stick with this until we notice that go closer. Bardal in the Mercedes looking to fight back for this place. These two have been backwards and forwards all the way throughout this Bahrain Grand Prix. But let's see if we can stick to the back of him here. Same thing as always, close the gap down this straight, open the DRS down the home straight, and we should be able to make a pass into turn 1. But we have 4 tenths, 3 tenths, should be close enough as long as we get a good exit coming out of the last corner. Not quite, such a better drive there from the Ferrari driver in front, but we'll soon see the power here of the DRS. Plenty of battery in the Mercedes as well to fight back, but down to 2 tenths. Almost 1 tenth. Goes down the inside. Very, very, very late braking here. Ferrari looking to go back around doing the up and under there. But let's see what happens as the DRS now going to the Mercedes, who's going to pull away. Are we going to see late braking by the Ferrari? No, he tucks in nicely. Takes the corner fully. Looking to cut back underneath the Mercedes. But is he going to make it stick? Let's see them go almost side by side. But smartly, the Ferrari does back out of that in order to make it. We have Fencialo coming in for softs. Potentially looking for a run at this final lap. But still in front is Zedges. Still yet to pit is our race leader. But let's see how we get on between this battle. As I noticed, this gap from Matej in the Alfa Romeo definitely closed up a lot now. Certainly Camelon's feeling the pressure for this final podium spot. Let's see if he can work this well for him, as he's looking to close up on Camelons. He's weaving, trying to break the toe behind him, but still 4 tenths. The gap going into the final corner. Is he going to have enough coming through? Still has some battery left over, where Camelons is a lot lower than him, but still looking to fight. Getting closer, getting closer. 2.5 tenths now, potentially looking to go down the inside of the Aston Martin, the Alfa Romeo of Matej after the contact earlier in the race. Certainly making moves further forward. Can Camelons answer back in the Aston Martin? Unfortunately, not having DRS coming into the first corner is certainly going to hinder him. But if he can stick to the back again through this highly technical start to Sector 2, and then through the long straight there, the long straight towards the end of Sector 2, he certainly could be able to help with that. So is he going to be able to fight back? Again, Matej has just been flying since the pit stops on those medium tyres. As we see him go, already creating a 6-tenth gap. But again, his Camelons in this Aston Martin able to open that DRS, close that gap, as we have Logitech running wide behind. Not the first time that we've seen him do it, but again, with that penalty, certainly out of this fight for the podium for sure. As we have our race leader, Zedges, almost. He's certainly flying around this track and definitely far and above, at least where we are at the moment, but does need to make a pit stop. As we carry on with this battle for 3rd place, we see this being extremely close, but is Matej in the Alfa Romeo able to pull out a gap? Gets such a better exit coming out of that last corner. But again, the DRS will always close that lap from 8 tenths down to 6 tenths, down to 5 tenths. See if we can close it down further, going down into turn 4 in the next DRS section. But Matej with some great work in these technical sections, not allowing Camelons to stick to him in order to even attempt some of these overtakes that should be coming through. As we'll keep an eye on Zedges as well as this battle for 6th place. Zedges here coming around the final corner. Will he pit this time? We will soon find out. But here we have that never-ending fight between Vardal and Winantec in the Ferrari, and a fastest lap for Vencialo takes it off the Alfa Romeo, and on those softer tyres, certainly looking to gain an extra point from his teammate there. And into the pits comes our race leader on 2 soft tyres. The only hard to soft runner that we've had, although we have had more soft runners within this race, of course, comes out in a nice set of space there. Shouldn't have any issues moving down. May even be able to get some DRS off one of the back markers there. But keeping an eye on the 2 close races that we have, that is between the Alfa Romeo of Matej and the Aston Martin of Camelons for 3rd place. And then for P6, Vardel in the Mercedes and Winantec in the Ferrari. All 4 of these drivers have been very close throughout this race. And got 3 laps trying to make an overtake stick. Now, let's see if any of them can make a move. As within 2 tenths now is the Ferrari on Winantec, and does make that move stick down into turn 1. Can Vardel fight back? He has plenty of battery, surely. This should be the time to use it. As he fights back against the DRS here from the Mercedes. That battery proving very useful there for him. But again, the switchback looking to be happen. But again, not quite the power. Potentially that battery doing wonders for the Mercedes at the minute. As I see the charge on the Ferrari be very, very, very low at the minute. But this seems to be back and forth and will likely continue throughout this race. A further 3-second penalty there as well. Is that one for Winantec? Let's just bring up the penalties here just to see. It would be a shame if it is. Yeah, 6 seconds now for Winantec. But I'm sure that he would like to beat the Mercedes on track given how close they have been racing. But again, seems to be dropping back from the Mercedes a little bit here. But we'll stay on board with the Ferrari, see if it can close this gap now. Just comes out of the last corner, does look to get a better exit. Within 4 tenths as the DRS opens, so surely he will be able to go. And we've had a spin there. Vencialo in the second Alfa Romeo. Coming out of the DRS section there. Does appear to have a spin in Sector 2. Doesn't look like he's got too much damage. So should be okay to continue and carry on. But going back to this, we see that the overtake has happened there from Winantec on the Mercedes of Vardel. But again, still not able to gap even with DRS. Still going to be very close all the way through. Pretty sure there's still going to be battery advantage. Of course there is for the Mercedes driver in front of him. But that blinking red light should surely be like a red rag to a bull at the moment. He should know that it's full attack. He should know he's got the advantage. Let's see if he can make it stick or whether he's just going to be tactical and settle in behind. He knows with the penalty that's in front of him he's going to be there. As Zedź, our race leader, does a 1:29.5 in order to take the fastest lap point away from the Alfa Romeo outfit. And to be honest, I've been really impressed with Zedź today. Even though I've not covered him too much, he's raced from the start at the front of this race as he's in his final lap here. We'll stick with the Williams driver whilst keeping an eye if there's any more changes. But this should be almost the start of his parade lap as we've had a spin just in front of him. Is that Vencialo once again? It certainly looks to be, but doesn't appear to have... Oh, it doesn't appear to, as if it's going to stop him. But again, Vencialo in front. Our race leader's going to see these yellow flags. And thankfully, it's not stopped him from his, well, we may as well say parade lap at this point. As he comes down the back straight of Sector 2. Takes this left-hand turn nicely. And this, for the final time coming round the end of Sector 2, takes the right-hander at the start of 3 and the long straight back down. Looking in behind, it certainly looks like Matej is keeping Camelons at bay, but it's our race leader in the sole Williams in this race. It's Zedź that will cross the line and win the Xbox Origin Bahrain Grand Prix Race 1 of Season 9. Congratulations to the Williams driver. As we look further back in second place, Eric in the Ferrari takes home second, and the final podium place goes to a great drive after an incident earlier from Matej in this Alfa Romeo. Comes across the line to finish third, keeping Camelons at bay in fourth. Wojtek on track looks to have done enough to keep Winantec at bay. Vardok may have had an incident as he has dropped back, but those 6 seconds of penalties from Winantec does mean that Vardal will get promoted into 6th place, as we have the final runner looking to come across being Vencialo. Once he does finish this lap, in order for him to finish in 8th place. Coming the last racer, looking to come around the final corner and cross the line in order to finish 8th. There we go. So congratulations to the Williams in winning that particular race. What I will look to do, once this is confirmed, is get our top 3 into a chat, and we can have a chat to our podium places. As you see the champagne sprayed on the podium there in victory for the Sol Williams, as we look to get them in the lobby here. So there it is confirmed. Zedges in the Williams takes P1, Eric in the Ferrari in P2, and Matej in the Alfa Romeo in P3. The game's driver of the day will be Camelons, who's done well to go from 8th to 1st, but certainly Zedge is the most impressive today in the Williams, leading from the front.
I think
as the racers have started to come in now, I believe. Yeah, I can certainly see that.
okay.
So I can see second and third just waiting for one more to enter.
Yeah, okay. We are waiting for this Sajix.
Correct.
It was a nice race.
It was a great race to watch, that's for sure.
Apart from that, Sajix was on another level. Had another chance.
It was definitely from that first opening lap, you just seemed to cap everyone as we went through. But I'm sure we'll get the thoughts of everyone. So Eric, seeing as you're here and unmuted, you can certainly start with yourself. P2 today in the Ferrari. How did you feel? How did you feel the race?
It's very good feeling. I hadn't any chance with the winner, but yes, it is what it is.
Certainly something to know, especially if that's your first league race. It sets a high benchmark later on in the season, that's for sure. No, it's absolutely fine. We're still waiting for our leader here, but we'll have a word with Matej. mistake-free race from you, but certainly battling back well to finish third there. How did you feel today went? Certainly, it was a close battle with Antonio in the second Ferrari, especially for that particular position. Side by side, going into second two, we seem to touch as you go. But I'm sure, like you said, we just need to review that, whether that goes to the shooting consistency. Yeah, definitely a good race for you going back there. Set the fastest lap until taking the soft tyres by the race winner in Williams. Yeah, great race from them. That's it. So we were still waiting for our race winner. He's not really just sending a message. Apologies. It's not coming through on mine, so I
So we're still waiting for the winner. Yes.
We are indeed.
As I can see, he just turned into another game on Xbox, so I don't think he will join.
Okay. So that's fine.
Ah, yes. So that's all, I think. Can we leave right now?
Yep, that's absolutely fine. You can leave now, but thank you everyone for tuning in on the channel. Next race will be...
Wait, like the winner is typing on the channel.
Ah, okay. We will certainly keep an eye on him here.
Oh,
He's
no.
unable to join.
Okay, so
Yes.
see you guys. Very good race. Thanks, Mate, if you're still here.
Thank you.
You were really quick on the hard, especially. I was slower on new hards than you on old hards, so that means something. And thanks for David for good coordinating this race.
No problem at all, and I'm sure to see you next week.
Yes, thank you very much. See you.
Yeah, man.
No problem. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week at 7 o'clock, but there's plenty other racing to go on from the Ero throughout the weekend. Keep yourselves subscribed and turn that bell on for the next update.